Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to make this video today to give you more of an insight into my aims and goals for the channel because there's a significant range of approaches on YouTube when it comes to making watch-related videos, so it's a good idea to let you know where this channel fits in. Probably the first thing to say is that I do want to keep this as a watch-specific channel and only really talk about wristwatches. Some other channels featuring watches also feature other content, general lifestyle content, or their luxury goods channels rather than channels solely about wristwatches. I really only want to cover watches here. So that being said, what type of watch-specific content can you expect to see here? I think the best way for me to provide value on this channel is to offer only content that I don't see anyone else offering. So that doesn't mean that I won't cover a watch, a brand, or an industry issue that other people have covered, but it does mean that I'll only make a video if I think that my perspective adds something. So you can expect to see me addressing very specific issues wherever possible, and from a personal perspective, rather than doing 10 standard reviews per week listing the features of watches that have already been covered in that exact same way. Now don't get me wrong, it's great that those types of reviews are out there and I watch them myself and I follow the channels that produce them, but it's not the kind of thing I'll be doing a lot here. Again, I'll be talking about very specific issues or about my personal perspective on or connection to watches. So when I am discussing specific watches or brands or issues, what perspective will I be coming from? As a watch enthusiast, my main passions are aesthetics and general build quality. I do care about the movements, but the movement is not the most important part of the watch for me. So, for example, I certainly wouldn't buy or wear a watch that I didn't find aesthetically appealing just because it had a movement that I appreciated in it. And I know plenty of people who would, and are all about what's powering the watch and not so much about the look or anything like that. That happens not to be my perspective. I care very much about what the thing looks like and how well it's made. And I also care very much about the movement. So I'll wear watches with the most standard quartz movements in them if I like the way that they look and feel, even though I much prefer mechanical movements to quartz. So given all of this and the fact that aesthetics and general build quality, fit and finishing, etc. are huge priorities for me, when I talk about what I value in any specific watch, you can expect me to mostly discuss style and what I personally appreciate about the aesthetics. So obviously most of these opinions are subjective, and when I make my reviews or my videos, that's what you'll be getting, my opinion, and you don't have to agree with it. But this is the type of information that when I watch a YouTube video about watches, that's what I'm looking for. This is the type of content that I'm most excited to see, people's personal opinions and them talking about their connection to watches. So in terms of brands and price ranges and so on, you'll see a wide range represented on the channel. I do have preferences, obviously, and I generally think that a few of the most established Japanese watch brands represent the best value in a watch right now. So you will see a lot of mid-range Japanese watches here. Personally, my favorite brands are Citizen, Seiko, and Omega, so you can expect me to talk about these watches a lot, and obviously two of those are Japanese brands. Now, although there's value in genuine constructive criticism, one thing I don't want is for this channel to be a place for negativity in any way, so my approach to that is that if I simply don't rate a particular watch or a brand, then I just won't feature it. I will criticize, so I'll happily point out downsides to watches that I love, but the only watches you'll see featured here will be watches that I either love or think offer some kind of value that hasn't received enough coverage. So anytime I criticize a watch, understand that I'm criticizing particular features about it, but it is in general a watch that I approve of. One thing that I want to cover a lot on this channel is how to appreciate watches, because appreciation is probably the most complex factor in collecting, and having a broader perspective on appreciation is one of the easiest ways, in my opinion, to get more out of watch collecting. So there are two important aspects of this, I would say. One is that everything has some kind of value. And coming from a value-concerned perspective in appreciating watches allows you to find some good in brands or pieces that you otherwise wouldn't have. And much more importantly, it allows you to connect with other people in the community and benefit from their different perspectives. This is because everything offers some kind of value to someone. There is some kind of real value proposition in every watch, regardless of brand, price point, country of origin, or whatever. Finding value isn't about manufacturing false equivalents, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with believing that the only watches worth collecting for you are watches of a specific type, but you will get more out of the watch collecting experience if you can understand what other people see in watches that you would never consider. So obviously the clearest example of this is collecting, generally Swiss, watches at luxury price points. I have absolutely no problem with anyone who would never consider owning a watch below the price point of, say, a Rolex Submariner, believing that you get what you pay for and that the minimum level of quality they'll accept is reflected in a certain price point. But having said that, if you're unable to, just as an exercise, see things from the perspective of someone who, for example, owns every single version of a particular $10 Casio, then you're missing an opportunity to find more things and ideas to enjoy in the world, and to make friends and have interesting conversations that relate to the things that you enjoy. So what might be a personal example of this from my perspective? Perhaps my only no-no in my personal collecting is that I don't like and don't own digital watches. I just think they're ugly and I wouldn't wear or own a watch with a digital display. There's nothing in it for me. But I have friends who collect digital watches and I appreciate all of the reasons why they like them. I understand the value that they find in them. I watch YouTube videos about digital watches and I enjoy them. I'm just as interested in the historical innovations in digital watchmaking as I am in the rest of the history of watchmaking. And that's all because I just like watches and anything to do with watches, even if I do have personal collecting preferences. So just to summarize all of that, focusing on value is one of the best ways to give yourself an advantage in being able to appreciate watches as far as I'm concerned. So I said that value is one key aspect in watch appreciation. The other key aspect is subjective personal interest and attraction. Everyone has a perfect right to love whichever watches they love for whatever reasons matter to them, but everyone should also try to have respect for other people's personal interests and loves. If you're loyal to a brand, say, and your main reason to buy a watch is that it's made by a particular company that you're loyal to, then I completely understand and appreciate that. If, on the other hand, your main reason to buy a watch is the exclusivity factor conferred by its price, or by the amount of research and work that you had to do to find the watch, then I also completely understand and appreciate that perspective. If you buy watches simply because you like the look of the dial and you couldn't care less what the watch costs, who makes it, or what mechanism powers the watch, then I can certainly see why. The point is that if you give me a reason why you love a watch, I can find a way to relate to it. And I also can't think of a reason to be disinterested in other people's reasons for loving the watches that they love. So frankly, if this channel adds to people's appreciation of watches in any way, I'll be happy, especially if it helps to introduce people to the hobby, which is a great thing. So I hope you enjoy the channel, because if you like watches of any kind for any reason, then we have something in common, and I hope you find my videos useful. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.